So we are in New York City at the Humanitarian Disarmament Conference, right across the street from the UN, and I'm with Tim Wright from ICAN. And this is like a big honor now with the Nobel Peace Prize. Tim, really, thank you so much. Congratulations for the campaign to ban nuclear weapon. It was a big campaign with 122 countries to make the nuclear weapon illegal. And I'm going to let Tim tell you the story. So what happened with the campaign and what happened with the Nobel Peace Prize? Can you tell?
So it was certainly a great honour to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize last week. This, I hope, will be a huge boost to our efforts to get countries around the world to sign and ratify the new UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. It's a treaty that we've spent the last decade campaigning for. When we set up the campaign in Australia in 2007, we said that nuclear weapons, like other indiscriminate, inhumane weapons, need to be subject to a global prohibition. And finally, this year, the international community adopted this important new treaty, as you said, with the support of 122 nations. There are, of course, some nations that don't support this treaty, but we hope that over time, the pressure from the international community and the pressure from the public within these nations will grow so great that they feel compelled to join.
It's a big, the country who didn't sign, I think all of them are part of the Security Council of the United Nations. I can't still don't understand being part of a Security Council of the UN. You are not signing a treaty who ban nuclear weapon. For me, it's like I don't know, it's a big contradiction. And of course, there are the big countries like China, the US, England, and France, and so what are they afraid of? What is their fear? And how do you see the process of be able to push them to do the right things?
I think for many years there has been a perception that nuclear weapons are a source of prestige. These are weapons that the great powers of the world have, and it's a perception that they themselves have tried to convey through their membership of the Security Council. But this new treaty really challenges that and says that these weapons, like other weapons of mass destruction, are unacceptable, and they're unacceptable for all nations, not just for North Korea or not just for Iran. So the Security Council has, regularly issued statements of condemnation and imposed sanctions on certain countries that it perceives as a proliferation threat. But the Security Council has never taken a strong stand against nuclear weapons per se, for the obvious reason that 5 of its members, the permanent 5, all are nuclear armed. And certainly nuclear weapons are not instruments of security. These are weapons that are creating great insecurity around the world, and all nations are threatened by the existence of these weapons.
All the news we get every day now, it's all about nuclear weapons. It's between Iran, between North Korea. I mean, all the international tension are based on nuclear weapons, no?
Yeah, it's very easy to see how this situation could really spiral out of control. With the fiery rhetoric just here, a month or so ago by President Trump when he addressed the UN General Assembly for the first time, and just this week he's been kind of making similarly fiery claims about Iran. So these are very dangerous times, and I think that the Nobel Peace Committee, in awarding us this great honour, is really trying to send a message that there is an alternative way, and the alternative path is to sign and ratify the Nuclear Weapon Ban Treaty. And really we need to act now, because if we don't, then it's all too likely that the weapons will be used again, and the consequences will be utterly catastrophic.
So it bans us. You cannot. It's going to make it more complicated to be able to sell a nuclear weapon, or no? Or it's the ban. It's on the treaty to use or to sell, or both.
So the treaty establishes a categorical prohibition on nuclear weapons. So it prohibits use, production, testing, stockpiling, possession. You're not allowed to host nuclear weapons on your territory. You're not allowed to assist another nation to develop nuclear weapons. And the prohibitions are kind of modeled on the prohibitions in other weapon-related treaties, but in some respects go even further than that. So this is a great tool for us to put pressure on the nuclear armed nations to try to stop the flow of money to nuclear weapon modernization programs, because even though there's no explicit provision in the treaty that refers to financing, that falls under the prohibition on assistance. So there are great kind of hooks in this treaty that we can use in our advocacy in coming years to make a really huge difference.
So what's going to happen with ICAN? ICAN, it's a big organization now. I mean, you have a big space to play, and did you have time to come up with the next step or some things that you want people to do, and use the opportunity of the moment to be able to carry on some specific action?
So this treaty that we've fought for the last decade, it opened for signature just this September, and we've already got 53 countries that have signed, but our focus now is on getting more countries on board, and not just to sign, but also to ratify, which is the second step in the process. And once 50 countries have ratified, the treaty will formally enter into force globally. So that's a big task, and we hope that campaigners also in some of the more difficult countries like the United States and other nuclear armed nations will be able to use this treaty to show that nuclear weapons are illegal under international law and that these are unacceptable. And so to change the kind of public debate and to really put pressure on politicians within these countries to take a stand against these worst weapons of mass destruction.
Thank you so much. I'd let you go back to the forum. I think we just started. And congratulations again for your great work and for the prize. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it.